Go ahead, Marcus. You're up.
Oh, you ready? All right. We're good?
Yes. Go
All
ahead.
right. Everybody, we are back. It is Tape Don't Lie. It's your favorite podcast. You guys already know what to do. Subscribe, right? Make sure if you hear this on iTunes, you hear the instant reaction on iTunes or Spotify, make sure you download there. Make sure you hit the subscribe button on iTunes as well, right? And then make sure you subscribe to all the Silver and Black Pride podcasts as well there too. And then if you see hearing this on YouTube, make sure you hit the like button. If you don't like it, hit the dislike button. I'm sure some Chargers fans are gonna come in here, be excited, hit that dislike button as quickly as possible. So we're coming off a loss here. The Raiders losing 28-24. They actually didn't embarrass themselves. We thought it was about to be embarrassment, but they actually showed some heart and kept it to a 2-score game until just like getting it wasn't the usual like 45-10 loss to the Raiders just to kind of just tumble. So I guess that's a positive there, but
no moral victories. Hold on.
No moral victories. No moral victories at all. But I mean, I guess how I look at it is this team's not terrible. You know what I mean? Like it's not like they came out there and they got blown out, right? They came and they showed heart like they're a team that was actually good that just had a sucky first half. And I think that's kind of that's how I feel about that game.
I mean, to that point, they are still 3-1. And I mean, we feel like crap now, but like they are still 3-1 through the first month of the season. Like you can't be mad at that. But yeah, it definitely sucks to have a chance to pull away from the Chiefs and the Chargers for 2 games and to not be able to execute.
Yeah. So what are you guys feeling on the games? What are you guys' thoughts?
First thing I want to talk to you guys about is the offensive line. Talk to me like what's going on with this offensive line. Are they getting blitzed? Are they just straight up losing like against normal things? Like just from your instant reaction, what are you seeing from the offensive line?
I mean,
go ahead, man.
I was just gonna say, to me, like last week it was the double A gap bullocks. Like I was looking at that, I noticed that was a problem where it tested their communication, and I was sitting there thinking, I'm like, okay, well, it's a center that is still pretty much learning the position. Usually that's a guy, especially in those looks, that's gonna set the protection and whatnot. And you're playing with 2 guards on the inside that you're not used to playing with that are backups. And then this week, I mean, they just lost one-on-one blocks. They were talking about it on the broadcast. They blitzed Drew Tranquil to make sure that they got a one-on-one with Alex Leatherwood and Joey Bosa. And I mean, Joey Bosa just ate his lunch. So there was that one play that ended up being incomplete to Ruggs, where I even tweeted out, it's like, ball don't lie. Like, because Alex Leatherwood had no choice but to absolutely hold the hell out of Joey Bosa, and Bosa ended up getting a penalty at the end of it. But I mean, they're just losing one-on-one blocks right now. I mean, the only guy that's really holding up right now is Colton Miller. And I mean, even to him, the last few games, I feel like it's been a little bit shaky. We were talking about before at one point, I don't know what the hell happened, but Emmanuel Luminor goes out, and then his backup, just Jordan Simmons, who BD and I had to look up before this game, right before they recording this, to see who the hell this guy was, gives up a sack. I mean, they're just losing one-on-one blocks. And I mean, you're seeing injuries really take a role. I mean, they desperately need a guy like Richie Incognito, not only for his play on the field, but for his leadership, because I feel like that's missing in the crew right now. And I mean, he's still out for 2 more weeks because they just put him on IR last week. So
yeah,
it's a combination of losing one-on-one blocks and just getting banged up.
Yeah, they're not seeing stunts either. Like they're not picking up stunts. So like the mental processing of the line is just off. And that has a little bit to do with the center. I mean, you want your center to be able to set those protections with Derek Carr too. I mean, he's got to be able to communicate with those guys as well. And since they're not communicating well, they're losing on stunts, or they're leaving a big gap for a linebacker because they're not seeing things by the communications, right? I mean, you want your center to be able to see what's going on and be able to, pick apart, the offense. But I mean, the line is a big problem, and they can't run block, bro. This is worse.
I was just gonna jump into that. Like they can't move the ball on the ground.
Yeah.
Against coming into this game, one of the NFL's worst run stopping defenses, right?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, the Raiders got some traction last week with Peyton Barber in there. Josh Jacobs this year, offensive line, or this week offensive line banged up. Musical chairs on offensive line again, but still couldn't get that run game going. I think that's going to be a problem, especially for the way that these guys are starting slow the first 4 weeks of the season.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know what it still is. I don't. It's been a couple weeks since I looked it up, but like I think 2 weeks ago they were dead last in the NFL as a team, rushing like for like 2.9 yards per carry. I mean, even Peyton Barber last week. I mean, I know I'm bigger on PFF grades than anybody here, probably anybody listening, but like one of the things that was so impressive about Peyton Barber's big day is like if you go back and look at like how PFF ranked their offensive or graded the Raiders offensive lineman, it was like literally a sub 50 grade, which I mean, feel how you want about PFF, but that's not good.
Yeah. And the Raiders, I mean, they're blowing blocks, man. So, I've been charting their blowing blocks for a while, and they I mean, coming into this game, I mean, they got 70 blown blocks. So who knows how many blown blocks they got. I mean,
what
that's
percentage is chart. That? Do you have a percentage on that?
Not yet.
That's just
almost there, bro.
Gotcha.
But I got pressure percentages, and they're not good either. Yeah. So, I mean, the offensive line is struggling. Okay. I mean, there's no really a way around it. But also, I think on the flip side is that when you're a coach, I think you have to see that quicker that you can't run the ball this game. I think you can't. I mean, I think they got stubborn, especially when they started getting down a little bit. I felt like they felt like the passing game, they just kind of like threw the passing game away and decided we're going to start to run the ball. And that's not working. I mean, it's just the run blocking and Josh Jacobs being hurt. He's not making people miss. Like he can't do what he usually does. So why are you trying to force the run? Just because they play light in the box, it's not working. So and then they came out in the second half and they just kind of abandoned the run and they started passing and then they started getting back in the game. I think, one thing I will point out in the Miami game is in the Miami game, they got back into like the run on first down type of thing where they're like running on first down all the time. They weren't passing on first down like they were the first couple of games. So, Carr kind of bailed them out in the Dolphins game a little bit. But I mean, he's not going to be able to bail you out every game. So like, yeah, in the second half, he got a little hot. He almost bailed him out. Right. But that's not going to happen. So they have to start off hot and they have to start off passing. They can't get into this run stuff. The strength of this team is passing the football. You got 5 good receivers, spread the ball out and play like the goddamn Bills did last year. I mean, that's basically what we got. So I don't know why that's not a factor. I mean, Andre James is a better pass blocker than he's a run blocker. You just got to let it go, man. I don't know. We'll see.
I mean, I think that there is a point to some of those runs in the beginning of the game. I think that the way that Josh Jacobs was finishing, they're trying to chip away at the armor a little bit. And you saw that, someone got hurt on their defensive line. You saw them start scoring some points in the second half. I think that just the physicality that they were playing with was starting to catch up with the Chargers a little bit. Mm-hmm. But like Marcus is saying, the offense is rolling through the passing game. And then that last drive where they, not the last drive, but the drive where they should have tied the game up if they scored a touchdown, right?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
It stalls because they go back to the run, right? So it's unfortunate that this team can't notch out some chunk gains in the run, in the run game. But I feel like the offense is definitely going to need that.
Yeah, I think it's more about him not wanting to embrace that identity of passing. Like he feels like they have to be balanced. They have to be a balanced team. Like this year, you can't be balanced, man. I mean, it is what it is at this point. We're 4 games in. You can't really run the football. Maybe later on when it gets colder, maybe something will happen for you guys. But at this point, man, you have to pass the football to win. And you have to stay aggressive passing the football. And you have a quarterback that's going to not force the ball on first down. Like he's going to get 4 yards and it's going to be 2nd and 6. Like just pass. I don't know.
To your point, they started out the game with 2 runs with an injured running back that they maybe gained like 1 yard. I'm like, and like, it's like, all right, now you have 3rd and 9. Like, and it's like, Gruden, you got to think backwards. And I mean, BD brought it up, like they started running the ball better. And like, one of the things I noticed is like when they started running the ball better was when they started throwing it better, right? They started throwing it early in the drive, getting those chunk plays, getting those light boxes, getting those 5-6 man boxes. And then all of a sudden, now you can run it because now it's just man on a man, hat on a hat, and you can figure it out. But I mean, like you said, man, like to your point, like they've got to start throwing the ball first. Gruden's got to start thinking backwards, getting out of this like mentality of like this like old school mentality of I got to pound the rock and establish the run early on. Like, it's just like, no, that's not how you're built, man. You don't have the line to do that. And your running back's banged up and we're in week 4. Like you can't do that.
Like you won the first 3 games throwing the ball 45 times a game. Like I didn't get it. I didn't get the game plan. Like I get it because the Chargers can't stop the run. But I think after the first drive, bro, you should have been like, scrap that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, they can in fact start
Okay,
the
that's
run.
not gonna happen.
Um,
Let's throw like and play
yeah.
like we usually do. Yeah.
Sorry, Marcus. You were cutting off a line. I thought you finished there for a
Okay.
second.
Okay.
But let's move on to Hunter Renfro. He had a big game for the Raiders, passing
Yeah.
game. Getting a couple requests in the comment section to talk about Hunter Renfro. There was that route, right? Do we have a name for this route yet?
Yeah, it's just do some shit and get open. It's a whip, it's a freaking slant, it's a go, it's it's 18 different things in one. I don't know how the guy does it.
They made that up for sure.
They made that up for sure. Yeah. It's the Renfro. It's what it is.
Yeah.
It's a Renfro.
The Renfro. I like it. The Renfro.
Yeah. I think they gave Renfro a lot more freedom. I think Gruden has given him a lot more freedom just to work. But him and Carr still got good timing, so it works out. But
the thing that I love about Renfro is the guy's just a freaking gamer. Like, I hate to use those like generic terms that like mean absolutely nothing, but I mean, the guy's playing freaking punt returner and notices a fake punt and comes up and makes a play on the ball better than any other DB did all night. Like, that guy she's just a gamer, man. He just knows how to win.
That was the best play of the game, honestly.
Dude, I was fired up when that happened. I literally got out of my seat, was screaming out of my TV.
Me too.
Like a friggin' wide receiver just comes up and lays the wood on. And I think that was like a tight end too that he laid out too. That was awesome. I'm fired up just talking about it, man.
Textbook. Yeah. Great play on the ball right there.
With all the injuries to cornerback, I thought he was going to be in there like at some point. I mean, you got to give him a shot, right? Like Raiders were literally down to the last healthy DB at some point. So you might as well put Renfro back there. Put your gamer back there.
They're in trouble, bro. They're in trouble.
That's what I was thinking. I feel like maybe that's a natural segue onto the defensive side of the ball here before we wrap up. My initial thoughts from watching the defense was that they were doing a good job on first and second down. When it came to third downs, I think the Chargers were a little bit ahead of Gus Bradley in the cat and mouse game in terms of scheming the matchups. And they did a really good job. They did a really good job isolating some guys who are struggling in coverage. Denzel Perryman being probably the biggest, just liability in coverage. Great run defender, fantastic. He's playing the run better than, or just as good as any linebacker in the NFL this year. But he's like giving up like close to 80% of targets are resulting in a reception. He's just not making an impact against the pass. Chargers were picking up on that, getting him isolated a lot. And then also, I was talking to Matt about this before the show started. They play a lot of man on the backside in Gus Bradley's defense, or just match, coverage on the backside. And they were getting, some little pick routes where Corey Littleton is in man coverage on the back and he has to fight around the slant. And, those plays were, resulting in some first downs. And that's just going to happen. I mean, like, that's pretty standard in the NFL, plays like that happening. But I would say overall it was okay, but there was just way too many 3-and-outs on offense in the first half. They're on the field too long as a defense.
Yeah. I thought they were on the field too long, but I thought they had a good day in the passing game overall. I mean, they held Herbert to 220 yards, 5.8 YPA. The dudes on the outside really didn't get going, like Keenan Allen, those guys. They really didn't get going. I mean, Mike Williams, he had that one play that they missed, but other than that, I thought they kind of held those guys in check. It was just inside. They kind of beat them up the seams, even in the red zone. The red zone, that's where they really got them. They really didn't target, Mike Williams and Keenan Allen in the red zone. They targeted the tight ends like Parham, Jared Cook, Austin Eckler. They isolated the linebackers. So they really attacked that part of the Raiders' weakness, But, when I think about it, like every week, I don't know if every team has the personnel to attack the Raiders like that. And I think the Chargers have a really lot of good personnel. Like when you get Austin Eckler up one-on-one with KJ Wright, doesn't matter if it was 3 years ago or 4 years ago with KJ Wright. That's an advantage to Austin Eckler. So, and Jared Cook too. Jared Cook's a matchup problem inside for most linebackers. He still is. He has occasional drop, but he still is a matchup problem for most linebackers, even at his old age. So, they just had the team to match up inside. That, maybe like the Dolphins, they didn't have, they have Gesicki, but like he's not Jared Cook, and, they don't have Austin Eckler, the same with the Steelers. They don't have those type of guys to match up, and who knows? The Bears don't really have that either. So it's hard. It's kind of hard to look at that and be like, I kind of look at this game like, okay, the guys on the outside have been killing everybody else, but they didn't kill the Raiders, and the Raiders had to be beat from the inside. So I don't know. Even with the guys going down, it was just interesting to kind of think about.
Yeah, I mean, it felt like I felt like what what you were saying, like they're attacking the linebackers. Like it was like last few years, one of the biggest Raiders' biggest problem has been linebackers in coverage. And I think it's been a lot better this year, but the Chargers basically said prove it, and obviously that worked out.
Yeah,
I mean, I felt like with Perryman, like the stats aren't going to look good, like probably not going to grade out wise, roll out well PFF wise and whatnot. But I felt like for the most part, like he was doing all right. Like he was kind of in phase or not. Wouldn't know if I would say in phase, but I mean like the slot fade to Jared Cook on what third down when he was going, slot, like that's a tough cover. I mean, like you said, KJ Wright, I felt like he took a little bit too flat of an angle on that route to on that wheel to Eckler for the touchdown. But I mean, I wasn't like when I was watching Perryman, I'm like, yeah, he's getting beat and whatnot, but I wasn't ever anything where I was like, he's just getting roasted in coverage. But yeah, like at the end of the day, like I said, the Chargers had a game plan to make the Raiders cover the field horizontally, and they just couldn't. Like, I mean, the Raiders linebackers kind of, I don't want to say they got exposed, but I felt like the Raiders would have been a lot better off if they just went like dime, like the whole game, and just put some safeties out there, but maybe put Trey Merrick in the box or try to.
If they were able to stop the run, I think that would have been an option.
True.
But I think they were struggling there a little bit uncharacteristically. I got to jump into the tape and figure out why that was. Yeah. On the flip side of what you're saying, I don't think that the linebackers or the safeties, because there was one for Abram, Hobbs got beat. Okay. Yeah. I don't think that they got exposed as much as the scheme kind of got exposed, because what the scheme is asking for those guys to do really for the most part is to zone drop and just rally and allow catches to be made. Right. And there's always going to be a high completion percentage. And I've been talking to Marcus about this a little bit. None of those inside guys, the back four guys, the nickel, the linebackers, the strong safety, has been like steady, making an impact against the pass. And I think that that's what this defense is missing, honestly. And then, like what you guys are saying, Chargers took advantage of that. That's who those guys were who were targeted in this game, despite some cornerback injuries. I'll say let's just jump into a couple guys who stood out. I mean, Amik Robertson came in relatively early in the game.
Yeah,
I think that he had a good game. There was one third down stop where he knowing, okay, it's okay for this guy to catch it. It's 3rd and 8. I just got to tackle him short of the sticks and get off the field here. So that's good situational awareness. We've seen some guys in the Raiders that are currently rostered not, make those same mistakes, right? So I think that was a good play. I think he stayed in phase and bullied Mike Williams on that fade, right?
I mean, like I was hoping we were going to talk this. I was going to bring this up at the end if we didn't, but yeah, I mean, to come off the bench, not only as like the backup corner, but as coming off the bench, basically as Arnett's backup, right? Once Arnett got down, like I think he played a little bit early on, maybe subbed in and out with Arnett. And then once Arnett went out, obviously, Amby comes in full time, but I mean, he's given up like a foot to Mike Williams, and Mike Williams had like one catch for 11 yards all night. And like, I mean, I've got to tip my cap to Amby. Like I think there's a couple silver linings in the game. But if there's the biggest one to me, it's got to be Amik Robertson. Like right now, like I'll say it, he's better than Damon Arnett. Like I trust Amik Robertson out there more than I trust Damon Arnett right now. I mean, there was a clip that on the ball that Justin Herbert overthrew to Mike Williams where like Austin Gale shared it. I'm like, it wasn't even a good release by Mike Williams. Like he just kind of like shuffled his feet and did the little hand sweep, and then Arnett just opened the gate. And I mean, with Amik Robertson, like I said, I mean, he basically just shut Mike Williams down despite giving up a huge size advantage. So I think if you're a Raider fan, you're looking at something to really be proud about and be happy about with this game. It's definitely the play of Amik Robertson to not only come off the bench, but come off the bench as the 4th cornerback and go out there and play like that and go up against a guy that's been on a freaking tear this year. This was the first game Mike Williams did not have a touchdown. Like, this is by far his worst game.
Yeah, for sure. And that's why I was excited about me, because I mean, another play that we really couldn't see on the broadcast. I mean, they're talking about, oh, you got to go to Mike Williams here. You got to Amik Robinson on him. You see the size issue, and they try to throw a slant on him, and Herbert didn't go there, and then he went to the check down instead, which means that Amik had that probably locked up. You know what I mean? Like he's probably about to drive on that football or something to make Herbert, not take that decision and trust that big dude to make that catch. So that kind of impressed me right there too. I mean, you know, making Herbert have to hold that ball, go back to the backside, and then end up checking it down anyways. That's a good sign, man. That's a good sign that you like to see. Especially, I mean, I know these guys are, I know these, you know, the corners are banged up, but none of them are really like serious injuries. So, you know, we'll hope that sometimes these guys come back and be able to play, especially Hayward. I mean, as long as Hayward can come back to play, I think he'll be fine.
Yeah, he did end up. Did Hayward end up leaving the game? I saw him get up gimpy on that flea flicker, and then did he end up leaving? I couldn't tell. Someone
I don't know if he left, but that's what I'm saying. As long as they got him out there and they got some of those other guys.
Sure. Sometimes, so there's a couple things, and the ESPN broadcast angle sucks, right? So you can't really tell who exactly is out there. Any defensive background, like 8 yards off the line of scrimmage, you can't even see him in the camera frame. Mm-hmm. But I think there was a couple times where Roderick Teamer was outside, but he was like outside on a tight end, or back. And it was looking like, oh, is Roderick Teamer playing corner? That's not the case. They were just playing man coverage because they were getting beat in zone a lot. So I think that's maybe what people are talking about. It was interesting. A couple things were interesting before we get out of here. On defense, they were playing a different version of cover 3 than they had all year. Obviously, knowing that the Chargers are going to understand this scheme. So I think giving them a little bit of a different look, exchanging Abram and LaCory Littleton's responsibilities a little bit. And then also they came out in dime early in the game, but they came out with 4 corners. And so far they've, subbed in Devon Diablo or Dallin Levitt, an additional safety when they got into dime. This time they came out with 4 corners. Arnett and Robertson and Hobbs and Hayward, all those guys were out there. So I thought that was an interesting wrinkle that we haven't seen, but none of it ended up coming to fruition. So, yeah. All right. So I guess that's it. Raider Nation, we appreciate everyone for tuning in. Raiders have suffered a tough loss here against the Chargers. I guess that's me and Marcus that, we've been talking trash about the Chargers all offseason. So that's on us, guys.
Herbert's still at YPA 5.8, so I feel all right. I'm all right.
We're gonna keep on hating on the Chargers. Justin Herbert could win the Super Bowl, and Marcus would be like, "Yeah, but he still sucks." He'd be like the Super Bowl MVP.
I mean, like, as long as the YPA is under 7, bro, I'm gonna say something.
There you go. All right, Raider Nation, you guys know where to find us. You can follow us on Twitter. Follow myself at BD Williams 18. Follow Marcus Johnson at the Mark John NFL, and follow Matt Holder at mholder 95. Did I do that right, Matt?
We got it. Let's go.
We got